Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Small little intimate group. And obviously, hello to everyone watching at home because I couldn't make it. Welcome. We've got a very special tasting on with a bottler that is very new to me, which I will say does not happen very often, thankfully. And we're lucky enough to be joined by one of the founders, Mikhail, tonight. I'm not sure what the time zone is like in France, but we're very grateful to have you joining us to tell the story. And before I hand over, there's just going to be a little bit of housekeeping. We are doing 7 drams tonight. They are all cask strength, so please don't drive. Don't go anywhere after the tasting. I think they might knock us all for a bit of a 6. We definitely recommend 7 glasses so you can go back and taste again for reference if you have the glassware for it. And like I said, all these are cask strength, so if you need a water dropper, go for that. All of our tastings are recorded as well for anyone wanting to watch back or for those unable to join us tonight. And we run a poll at the end of every tasting. And considering we are drinking more than just whiskey tonight, we've got some incredible Cognac, Armagnac, Calvados, and even a rum. So we will run the poll. It will be one poll, but you can vote for your top 2. So that way you don't have to choose between, only whiskies or only the French spirits. If you guys have any questions or tasting notes, pop them into the chat and I'll try and get answers for all the questions and bring them up during the tasting. I am very much relying on you guys because I won't be tasting any of them tonight for trying to be good to my body at the moment. So I am relying on you guys and your palates. And you need to make me exceptionally jealous with your tasting notes. But apart from that, I won't delay us digging into these any longer. Ollie shared the tasting order for tonight in the chat, and I will hand it over to Mikhail to tell us the story of Swell de Spirits. I'm sure I'm absolutely butchering that. I will leave all the pronunciation to you as well.
Thanks, Emma. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Oliver, also, and Chris, for welcoming me. To have the lineup tonight for you and for me in the morning. It's 11 in the morning in France, so quite early, but a good one. Yeah, Swell de Spirits. I started actually 2 years ago. It's a pure passion, by truly pleasure since years ago. Starting by the Scotch whiskey, my family also is from Italy, so I was like into Grape and a lot of like spirits. So yeah, anyway, I used to live also in Sydney, in Australia, for 6 years. So it's why like I'm very it's close to my heart, Australia. So and I started by passion, as I'm explaining, truly by going like knocking on the doors and exploring French spirits, Scotch whiskey all over the world, rum, and I said to myself, like, why not me to make some offers on the market and to become an independent bottler, an indie. So, and then the COVID and arrived and hit it like all the world, and I think everybody like questioned themselves about what we are doing on Earth, kind of, and then I was like, let's do what I like the most. I'm an engineer, like aircraft engineer, and when I moved to Australia, I wanted to stay there, so I didn't have the citizenship, so I was working in the mining industry. So, but anyway, so I just wanted to quit my job and do something that I really love, and spirits. So by saying that, I think you should also start to pour, like, if you already pour like the first dram is it's a Calvados. Maybe that's what we were saying also with Emma and Oliver. And yeah, and try start. I guess it's a good one. So I can explain a bit more later. But yeah, just a bit of background. I don't want to stay like 4 hours talking about myself. That's not the point here. It's more about the liquid in your glass. So we and the brand is a bit for sure. but yeah, and because I was surfing and because I love like to catch a wave in Australia and here now in Bordeaux, I'm located in the wine country. So I just say like, why not swell? Swell is a good definition on Wikipedia, you know. So and the for the French touch it a bit, let's say, and spirits, yeah. And 2021 April was the 5th of April actually. I started to I started on the road 100% in the business, and so far so good, let's say. Everything is going pretty well. Very quickly sold out on references. Last night I had a Trinidad distillers rum, 300 bottles. They were sold out after 2 hours, so it was crazy. So yeah, so the hype is there also, and for some spirits. But the vision is very like to let's say to promote what the each houses, distilleries are doing on the field, from the field to the bottle to the glass. And by doing that, I feel very close to the French distilleries for sure. But also I like to distill, to go at each lot of places. Like last year, I was, I mean, my other half is Scottish, so that helps a lot too. But I was at Daphne, for instance, with Francis for 1.5 months, just hands-on, you know. I just like, it was a lot of cleaning, cleaning the tanks, and yeah, doing a lot of things like that. But well, I learned a lot from them, and so I can explain much better what you have in your glass. And yeah, and back like even 10, 11 years ago, I was doing touring, and I like to help the distilleries if I can, and to stay with them and learn about the process and what they're actually doing. So the Calvados actually is very, as you can see, I don't know if, I'm not too sure if people already drank Calvados in the group, in the chat group, no?
Does anyone put your hands up if you've had a Calvados before?
What is a Calvados?
So that's a good question. So Calvados is distilled in, it's an appellation, right? Like Cognac or Armagnac. It's in Normandy. So it's northwest, sorry. And we have, let's say, 3 appellations: Calvados Pays d'Auge, House AOC Calvados, and the third one is Donfronte. So each one of them have like their particularities and specifications, you know. One of them, Pays d'Auge, use pear up to 30%, and the other ones it's only apples. So the apple orchards grows at least like 70% of what are known as phenolic varieties, and the rest is it's bitter and bittersweet. So I was very like, when I went there and I knocked on the doors and I was like wanting to select a Calvados, I didn't really know what they were doing, and you know what is really Calvados. So I learned with them and I stay with them, and so that's my second Calvados actually bottling. And this one I did something special too, so I will explain that. But let's say we have like more than 300 apple varieties. Also, that's a lot. You know, at the shop you have maybe like a few, like 4, 5, or 6 maximum, but it's a lot more. You have like 350 something. So what I do is that they distill different appellation for the Pays d'Auge, and for the Pays d'Auge they do also post still, but for the 2 other ones, they also the most common is it's column still, so single distillation. Okay, so this one we are having tonight, it's a column still. You can have the look. You can have a look on the label. Well, for the people who don't have the bottle, so sure it's hard. But it's a Cognac Garnier. That's very generations after generations they have this distillery, and from distilled in 2003, meaning that they so the apples, they are dropped on the field at their place. So most of them, some of them they have their own apples trees. Some of those they just buy around, right? And then they ask the farmers and the local providers, apple providers, to drop them on the field when they arrive. And it's like a canal, you know. They have water, and you put the bottles. It's very nice, like all way of like it was. I think it was like thinking back 100 years ago, like this kind of things, you know. And they press the apple. They for sure they look at them, the one they're a bit damaged or like a bit not. I mean, if they're impacted by I don't know, by the rain or whatever, they can be like very. They have to look nice, I guess. You know, they check them. So they put in a filter press. The filter press is going to press the juice, crush them, press the juice. Juice is going to be extracted, and then it's going to be fermented in a fermentation tank. All right, for like a few hours to a few days, and then Calvados is actually apple cider. It's been distilled to become Calvados once aged at least 2 years in the oak, in a French oak cask. Then we have for sure like different appellations, as I said. For this one, I did like quite a funky finish. I come out of the appellation, so it's why there is not written Calvados. It's eau de vie, aqua vitae from cider. So it's like I didn't have the right to put Calvados because I've done a finish on the long pound rum, Jamaican rum, that I previously released last year. And it was like very tropical cask. It stayed like a lot of years in Jamaica. Then it was very like full on with aromas and heavy rum, you know. So this one, actually the owner, the dad of Nicolas, was a bit like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? It was a bit tricky to, you know, to make him to agree that, because it's very like there are some rules and it's very like old school also, you know. So I had to very like make sure he was gonna be good, because he would have kicked my ass out of the distillery. Yeah. So I left it for 1 month, and yeah, that's the result. So it's 2003 distilled, November 2022. So it's been like 19 years in the cask plus 1 month in the long pound rum finish.
Wow. That is so cool. I'm loving the notes, the coconut, light shortbread, what I am also assuming, Paul, is iced Vovo biscuits. Marshmallow, texture light, very bitter green apples, pepper, creamy vanilla. Gilly's asking, same barrel as the Long Pond you bottled a while back. Yeah, it was just that same barrel that you used.
Yes, that's right. What I try to do is, because you know, even like let's say for the cask, it's good to have a cycle, like a run, and to reuse them instead of like to scrap them, or you know. And I feel like there is always something to do. Even I bring my cask to breweries for the beer at the end, when they are very like, I cannot do something else. I just like, it's the end of the cycle. I just bring them to a brewery. So they do like finishing in a few months with some beers into it. So, and yeah, that was the 2007 cask long pound, low ester. And I did bring to the Calvados with my car. You know, it's very down to earth what I do. I also bottled most of the bottles here in France. In Scotland also, I tend to go because I'm very close to the final product also. So it's very yeah. So I no, it was only 1 month, and I think was enough to get the when I do a finish, I tend to have a vision, to have like to think about what I really want to get out of the finish. Where is the product right now, in a bourbon barrel most of the times, or in a French oak barrel, and what I want to add to that, and what I really wanted to add is like exotic fruit flambé, you know, like pineapple flambé, you know, we call that in France, burnt, and we also like oven apple, you know, apples you put in the oven, and it's a very yeah, and some cocoa also, people find that as cool. Yeah, so that's very like where I wanted to get, and it's quite tricky when you do a finish. This one was with an active cask, so 1 month, 1 week, you know, from 1 week to the other, or even like a few days, it can turn very like too much, or you know. So you have to be confident and say like, now it's like we have to take it out, you know, and no go further, and no like being greedy. As I did the few casks, I was too greedy, and it was just like not what I wanted. So yeah, it can be very a disaster. So
Yeah, cool. Well, Ollie has a question, and I have a question as well, actually, so I might kind of combine them. So I'm originally from America, and something, when I think of distilled apple spirits or distilled cider, I think of Applejack. Are you able to, like, is the difference just the cask type between, and like where it's made? Is that kind of, are they very similar spirits, or am I totally confused?
what is Applejack? You said
Applejack, yeah, it's like a distilled apple spirit in America. Maybe I'm crazy. You can hardly get it here. But
so yeah, I mean,
that kind of thing. So
yeah, I don't know, like the Applejack, I never tried that, but it's in fact it's just like the Calvados is, because also it's an appellation, you know, so maybe you make also kind of Calvados in the US, you know, it's kind of like,
yeah,
because we have also in Britain, in Brittany, they also make their own Calvados, but they cannot call Calvados. I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, maybe it's aquavitae from apple, like fermentation, but not cider. So that's a bit different, you know. So yeah, there are some people also asking for higher ABVs, the way to go. I think they reduce to 40, 45 most of the times at the distilleries. For me, it's like nice because I can grab one like it's cask strength. It also in the very humid, like a wet cellar, you know, like very humidity, and to get more like different cellars. Also, I can pick the one I really like to work, because when you have that, it means that the humidity is very high, and it's more like a bakery inside the cask, you know. So
yeah,
it's
cool. Okay.
but if you have
So
like yeah, it's a type of fruit brandy. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it must be, because obviously, like in Australia, we do make quite a lot of brandy, but
Yes.
obviously we can't call it Cognac or Armagnac or anything fun like that, because of the appellation on that, which probably leads us well into our next dram. Actually, I say dram, our next spirit. I just use dram for all of them. So yeah, this is a traditional cognac, and I'm absolutely going to butcher it, but I'm going to try it because it's from one of my favorite places, Grosperrin. Is that how you pronounce it?
Grosperrin, ouais. Yes. Guilhem Grosperrin. Yeah, and Axel, yeah. They so you can see we have also different labels, like kind of series. We declining the releases through series. The first one was the experimental series. That's where we do like things out of the box, you know, like this one, some crazy finishes. This one is the Swell & Co. That's when I collaborate. This one was with my designer. which is located in Singapore, one of my friends. And we, yeah, so different labels, we split the cask, and we share also the sales revenues. So Flashback is, to remember, like, to think about, I'm from the 80s, born in the 80s, Daft Punk, but what is recorded, I shouldn't say that, but it's because copywriting and so on, so it's just like two people having fun on the stage. So we yeah. Sorry,
do you have the bottle to show us? Because I don't
yes.
think Ollie has
yes.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's the some, to remember, like, some old movies, or like some it's quite funky most of the times, with a lot of colors. And we have also private garden, which is also when I involve partner or retail shop, a distribution. Got a few distribution set up in Japan, in Singapore, in the UK, in the US very soon. So this one is just the flowers from the place where I picked the cask. So this one is from Jamaica, is the Lignum Vitae. So yeah, that's it. And after, we have Wonders of the World series. That would be for the Mackmyra Swedish whiskey. When it's Petra. So we put like some Wonders of the World, not the 7 antiques, but some new ones also. And then we have Field Trip, which Field Trip is more like a very old cask, like this one you have in your lineup, the Laphroaig 32-year-old. And also an insect from the place, or animal. That's the ladybird. You have a lot of ladybirds in the Laphroaig distilleries, followed by the bay. Yeah. So we so yeah, and now we are going to the next drum. As Emma said, we are Grosperrin Cognac. How many of you also are used to drink Cognac?
Yes, and so-sos.
Yeah.
I reckon Gilly's probably tried all of these, but all of these styles. But, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, actually, this one was coup de cœur. Like I was, it's one of my top 3 of Cognac. I've been drinking a lot of Cognac since years now, and this one is very like, it's very what I like into Cognac. So Cognac, how is made? Appellation also. We have 6 different appellations. We have Petit Champagne, Grand Champagne, which is the most common, the most known, like, Hennessy and Martin and all like Martel and all the big names out there. And we also have Borderies, which is this one, Borderies. Okay, so that's it's not too small in terms of superficie, of square meters, but it's where you have the less also distilleries, and the quality can be very good and very bad, so it's tricky. So you also have 3 more that are Fin Bois, Bon Bois, and Bois Ordinaire. So we grape variety, it's 3 different ones. We have the most known and the most used is Uni Blanc at 98% of the time. The second one is Colombard and Folle Blanche, second and third, which like it's very small percentage. Okay. In comparison with the Armagnac, it's good to make comparison also. Armagnac had another one, which is Baco grape variety, all right, which is very close to the rum when it's aged. You have a lot of aromas like all Demerara's rum. Anyway, to come back to the Cognac, it's a double distillation in a Charentaise way of distillation. So when they do the harvest, it's a white wine, also white grapes, all right. You do the vinification. Vinification takes a few days. Then they're going to distill. Let's say sometimes starts end of the year. You have it's a lot of parameters. They have to check the acidity in the vinification, and then they say, okay, now it's time to start distillation. It can take a few months depending on how much hectoliters you have with the harvest. So this very vineyards also, they are very depending on vineyards, on wines. If they had some disasters, storms, they have like it's very frost, April frost, beginning of May also. This year, touch wood, is still okay. Grapes are okay. Last year was a disaster in some Armagnac places also. So it's very like they're very like related to the climatic changes also, unfortunately. So it's very hard for them some years. So we have a 1965 Cognac, quite old also. And I jumped from the year to the process. So the process, come back to the process, we have double distillation and a bit of like similar than whiskey and so on, but you have a small post tip like a chaudière, they call that. They're warming up by gas or steam or whatever, and they bring to the right temperature, and it goes through vapors, condensator, and then the first distillation is about 34-35% ABV, around that, and they do that, and they also separate heads and tails, like the cœur de chauve, they call that. So it's it arrives, it comes out of the post chill about, like, let's say between 60 to 70, even more sometimes, percent of ABV alcohol. So we and then they take the new make, the new spirits, and they have let's say 6 months or a year in some to push the tannins in with some new cask or some cask roux, what they call that, ginger cask, that have been used for a few years already, and then they change it to other cask after that, so to bring them to long maturation in French oak also. French oak, about not too far from Cognac. Cognac has the most of the cooperages per square meters around the world. It's full of cooperages. They really need a lot of casks. A lot of distilleries, it's very big distilleries are there. And this one has been the high ABV. It's because it was a dry cellar, very dry, so the ABV was not dropping down quite considerably. And that was a small distillation. Grosperrin doesn't, it's a broker also, and it's more than a broker because he has his own cellar and he's educating, like bringing to maturation his spirits very, like, as a, I don't know, it's all his casks, they are very well looked after, and they and it's very like it's the art of the maturation. For me, it's like always like amazing to go and talk to him. And then, but he's going to start to distillation, to the distillation also very soon. So yeah, sorry I talk a lot, but yeah.
No, that's cool. I find it so interesting in the way that so many Cognac and Armagnac distilleries don't put distillation ages or like age statements at all on the bottle. Is that just kind of a holdover traditional thing? Are people starting to change? Because obviously this is N65 and you were saying it's in 1965 distilled and stuff. Is it changing?
There's a reason, and that's a good observation, Emma. We this is not millésime. It means that we are not allowed to put any years, because we are not 100% sure. We know it's 100% sure, but for the regulations, it needs to be checked, So if you distill and you don't have like a representative from the government, from the tax, from the Cognac institutions to come to your distillery and to say, okay, this is the batch from this year, and put a wax on it, put a stamp, a lot of paperwork, to follow each cask. This is the most complicated regulations in the world, cognac. So if you don't have that, because they are very small distilleries, all right. Sometimes it's very, there are people, they have some cask, they inherited from their previous, you know, like grandparents or owners or whatever. So it's just like, I think it's because it was not followed since the beginning, and then it's a number. So number 65 is for 1965, all right? We all know that here, but it's very well, we need to expand that also, you know. They use number, they use lot, L-O-T, okay? Lot 65 also, I could have said. And also it costs a lot of money to have somebody from the regulation to come. And if you have that for 1 or 2 casks, doesn't make sense to bring that people there, because you have to pay them also. So when you have big distillery, you can do that because you have hundred of casks, and you really want to have a millésime, put the year on the label. That's a single cask also. Huh? Yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think it's really interesting because it's one of those things where usually we just get XO or like very old or whatever, especially kind of the core-ish sort of stuff that we see, the slightly fancier than your cheap Hennessy.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's always, I find it so fascinating and so confusing, because you're just like, no, it's really old. There's no number on, you just can't tell how really old it is, which is which is interesting. But,
so to explain a bit the situation here, some small producers like Grosperrin, like Pasquet, Cognac Premier also, they are fighting against big houses. Not fighting, but they have to survive, because big houses, they are taking all the small distilleries under contracts. NSC don't have any distillery. They have contracts, or they have some, for sure they distill also, but they don't have enough volume for their own bottles. But it's like a broker putting no names on the labels saying it's NSC, So that's why they lock small producers with contracts, and they're happy, small producers, to do that, because it's like it's a long-term situation. They distill, everything is going to go to NSC or to Martel, They're like, okay, it's fine, I do it. But so, and then for the rest, for me, it's like, but the rest, we need also some cash for the market, for the independent bottlers, for the small, houses, like I said. And then it's becoming a bit trickier also on that way, because they also, the high demand does bring the big houses to buy everything, and to put their hands on everything. So it's very, it's why I say it's not fighting, but to survive is why it's good to promote different distilleries and different houses, and not having, because that's if it was going to NSC, it would have not been the same. They would have never put the name. They would have never say anything about that. It's ours, they would have said, and I would have sold that for 2,000 or 3,000 euros, even more.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this bottle on the market, all right, was about retail price was about 240, 250 euros. So for 1965 cognac, it's not too bad.
Just blows my mind every time, and it's what encourages me to drink more cognac and Armagnac. And these bloody tasting notes, strawberries and cream lollies and toffee. Everyone agrees that the high ABV works really well. I can't wait to try this.
Yeah.
It's making me all very jealous.
Yes.
I think from Cognac, we should probably move on to Armagnac, Basse Armagnac. Is there a difference between Armagnac and Basse Armagnac?
Yeah, so the same. We have different appellations in Armagnac. Okay, we have Armagnac, so the Basse Armagnac, I think. Oh, I'm getting confused now. We have talking too much about appellations, and sometimes the Armagnac actually is just the name, like cognac, And we have three. We have Tenares, Baz Armagnac, and maybe an Armagnac. Yeah, that's right. I was a bit confused. Yeah. So Armagnac is the big name like Cognac, okay? But underneath that, you have three different appellations. You have Tenares, Armagnac, so the top of the Armagnac region, and the Baz Armagnac is the bottom of the Armagnac region. Then you have four different grape varieties. As I say, we have Uni-Blanc, which is 96%, a bit less than Cognac, but because they have added one more grape variety, but still very high in percentage. The other one, they are very rare. So we have Folle Blanche, which is less than 1% or so of the production in terms of grape varieties. Baco, which is a new one added to the Cognac. The Cognac doesn't have this grape variety one. That's the one we actually drinking now. It's a Baco. So I put multi in the variety in the labels. I put like multi cepage. Multi cepage is like multi varieties. But when I talked to the mom at the place, well after I did the labels and so on, she said, "Why did my son tell you like it was multi varieties? We have multi varieties, but this one is 100% Baco." I was okay. That's good to know now.
Oh no.
A bit late, but yeah. So that's very like they are very family owned, and as I said, like I distill with them. They don't have their alembic. It's a column distillation, so they do also they do differently with Cognac. It's different, spirits because also of the distillation of the process. It's single distillation. It's a column still, very old, very very old. So it's funny because Cognac, I mean, it's not too funny, but Cognac has been pushed since years through marketing, through NSC, big houses, but Armagnac missed the curve on pushing marketing and get known, got the name out there. And so we don't have big houses over there, and that's cool also because when I go there, I knock on all the doors, and they're very like family owned, like a lot of acres and farmers. They're not their main revenues, and they this one was last year. This year in January we distilled. I stayed like for a week there. Domaine de Mestépès in the Gers, so in the region Gers, and we they actually have ambulance like. They don't have a fix, they don't have enough money also to pay that because they don't distill a lot every year. So it's like ambulant, we call that, it's a distillation, like mobile distillation. So they come with a column and it's fire with wood fire. So, the wood from the vineyards, acacia wood. And we put that, and every 20-25 minutes you put more wood, and the distillation is very by gravity. You put a vinification at the top, and it goes through like a very like intelligent system. It doesn't change since 100 years. And this is a single distillation, and you have like is getting charged with very fruity new make also, because it's get charged with a lot of levels in the column, and the wooden fire brings very peaks. You can go high in temperature all of a sudden, and after some minutes it goes down. So it's very like a lot of variety, so brings a lot of flavors, a lot of like unique sensations on the new make. So this one is 1990, French oak also, and natural color, non-chill filtered, like cask strength, 58.2% ABV.
I think mobile distillation is probably my new favorite thing to hear about, and I think it would probably give the ATO a heart attack. But that's cool. So Ian is curious. It seems most Armagnac's done around the 40 to 42%. It might just be for what we see in our market, but what kind of ABVs is Armagnac normally bottled in France and for Europe?
So reduction is about to 40 to 45 most of the times, but as I'm an independent bottler. I like a bit of more ABVs and no reductions. I can find some cask which are not still like full on. So, but I think it's also it's more affordable also when you add water. You have more quantity, more volumes also for like some distilleries, and it's some cash on hands. But also you have is for the palate of the people drinking, for the Asian market and so on. This more like easy to drink, right? Even if most of the times when you add water, when you do some reduction, there's a lot of marketing behind that. Even in the Scotch whiskey and so on, we bring more aromas. We bring some more with the reduction was amazing and so on. Sometimes it can be for sure, but what I see since I do that is like, well, it opens up for sure. It can, but it's like it's yes and no. So I tend to find about 40 to 45. I kill a lot of aromas, even slow reduction and so on. So it's like for me, it's like it's full on. What you get into your drink, your glass, it's what was in the cask. I'm not closed. I don't put myself any limitations. So I did some reduction actually, very nice reduction on rum. But yeah, a lot of distillery actually, like I've seen some crazy stuff. They sell slow reduction and they sell like they bring aromas or whatever. They just the day before they bottle, they just put like thousands of liters in the tank, and yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, that's something else. Yeah.
I think that like for me, cask strength Armagnac has been definitely my pick. I remember trying those years ago. There was an SMWS single cask. I think it was 40 years old, something crazy old, and it was 64% ABV, and it drank so easily, and it's easily one of my favorite Armagnacs of all time. But yeah, I think that viscosity and the flavors are really there. And Ian saying salted caramel, burnt toffee, a little bit of tobacco, more mouth-filling and powerful. Yeah, this is another one I'm very excited to try when I get my hands on the samples and recover.
Yeah,
But
no, that's good. I think the market is changing also very towards to more alternatives. In Europe, it's very like French. We're not used to drink Cognac and Armagnac and Calvados. It's crazy because we export like more 3/4 of the volumes outside, And then I was like, for Swell de Spirits, the vision is simple but efficient. Like, I just want to bring people that only drink Scotch whiskey or whiskey around the world or rum to alternate to something else, to French spirits, to tequila, mezcal, to something like it's going to cost less also, in terms of money, but and it's going to be amazing, just try it, make your own observations, and if you like, if you don't like it, but just try some good stuff and quality stuff. That's what I bring in the market, and I realized that the vision is going on its own. Like let's say some people, I know them, they're only used to drink whiskey. They buy all my bottles, all of them, and they even ask for a second one sometimes on Armagnac, Cognac. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I guess the job is getting done. So I'm very proud also to bring some French spirits and to honor these people, because they said very high labor, like labor. It's very tough labor, and yeah, it's a lot of terroir work. And we can speak about body terroir. That's very conflictual also, like with waterfall and so on. It can be, yeah, but terroir is more on that vineyard, on mezcal, like agave or things like that, like when it's very the roots, it's very like old, old trees or like things like that. I think it talks for me better than a barley that is grown for a year, less than a year. But anyway, that's some other topics. And then we have yeah, I don't know what you people think about this Armagnac.
Yeah, I'd love to get some more tasting notes. What are we thinking for those especially who haven't had an Armagnac before? Is it? Are we liking it? Are we intrigued? Michael, something very different. Fair enough. It seems very diplomatic, Michael, but fair. I know Michael's big whiskey fan. So, well, we might move on to another spirit category, which is a little bit more familiar to Australia, seeing as it's probably, I would argue, one of our kind of national spirits and intertwined with our history. Not this one in particular, but rum. So take us through the Worthy Park rum.
Yes. So we are now in Jamaica, St. Catherine. So I think it's on the other side of the island, kind of quite of middle location. We Worthy Park is, they are also the only ones that are using local molasses, you know. So that's a very also good thing to think about. And they are reborn. They reborn their distillery in 2005, I think. I'm pretty sure it was around this year. Two new post-still, double retort post-still. So distillation is double retort post-still. It's kind of like, I don't know if you have seen a double retort post-still, but it's very made from in Scotland from faucets. They have like kind of like 3 distillations if you look at it very closely, but you have like the vinasse, you know, the molasses, the fermented molasses coming into the at the bottom of the first pot still, and you're gonna bring the vapors. It's gonna come to a different like two retort, like bring more aromas in the spirits. It's very one of its kind Jamaican styles that's very in Jamaica. You find that a lot of people are trying to not copy but to do the same, you know, like high ester, low ester, and so on, because it's very the hype right now. This is a low ester. Esters is substances, volatile substances, non-alcoholic. So we have so it's developed through the fermentation mostly. So they say they have mug pit. Mug pit, it's kind of like the Hamden and Long Pond also, like they're playing a lot with that. But it's very like you don't know really what they put into a mug pit. Mug pit is like kind of outside in a tank or on the ground. They dig and they put like fruits. They put like even skin of animals. Sometimes they say clams, anything, and they leave it like fermentation going on. So these kind of things, they will take samples of that and add it, is extra added raw material into the fermentation to accelerate bacteria. Okay, so already fermentation takes like 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, even sometimes. It's very pushed fermentations. Molasses, it's, for the one they don't know, it's extract of pure sugarcane juice, which is boiled and is black extraction, very like thick black looks like, and that's rum from molasses. Okay. Then we have mud pit. We have even sugarcane acid that can also add into the fermentation. So all of that is going to make a lot of esters, a lot of aromas into the fermentation. And then once distilled with the post still is very heavy, very full of charging aromas. And then you have a new make, it's already like full on. It's very like, you can, most of the people also like to drink that, you know. And then this one was pretty much 13 years in Jamaica, so a lot of tropical years. The nose is very, I don't know if people let it breathe, but you need to let it breathe for at least 15-20 minutes. The nose is opening up like step by step, and then the mouth, what you get in the palate is very like surprising from what you get in on the nose. And that was kind of a surprise for me too when I tried it. Then it's local like bourbon cask, like we use bourbon cask and
yeah, cool. These tasting notes, I love them. We've got Ian says, I have no idea how to describe the nose, but I like it. Ollie says the nose is candied something, caramelized something earthy. Gilly's caramel and flowers. I think you really stumped people with this one. It's unusual.
Mika, this was matured in two regions, yeah?
Correct. We call often, sometimes like I should put like have now I did it, but there is a tropical maturations which brings most of the time the rum very acceleration because it's humid, it's hot. It can be like 40 or 45 in the cellar. It can be also cold in the winter in some places, and that's we call tropical maturation. Well, this is what you have got in Australia, you know, from the northern territories, and you know, from even like Queensland and so on. Even Sydney can be cold like that a little bit. But anyway, we when you have angel share is up to like 10, 12, 13, 40%, even more. So it was 13 years in Jamaica and 2 years in continental weather in Europe. Yes, that was the sometimes the share is good if you have a part in tropical and another part in Europe, half. It's sometimes also very good. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, and it's why sometimes you have the color also is very impacted. It's very dark color because it took a lot out of the cask. And if the cask has been toasted, charred like STR, like roasted, and you know, it takes a lot of the corn inside.
Yeah, cool. Well, considering how vague most of the tasting notes are we liking this? Are we into this? Are we, you know, conflicted by it? Conflicted by it. Oh, that's all right. I think we're more used to sweet rums. I know I personally, I don't drink a lot of rum, but I've tried Hampton Estate rums in the past, and I'm like, not into the Gorgonzola. It just tastes like Gorgonzola cheese to me. And but yeah, super, super interesting. I'm very, very aware of time because I know we have a lot of samples to get onto, but I think we might start delving into the whiskies. And I'm actually very excited to hear what people think of first whiskey because it's from Mackmyra in Sweden, which we hear about every now and then in Australia.
Yeah. So just to answer some questions, yeah, the price level was the first one you tried was about like 75 euros, included VAT. Second one, the Cognac 1965 was about 250 to 260 euros, 260 euros, VAT included always. Armagnac was about 90 to 100, I guess, some places. The rum was about 115 to 120, included sometimes like shipping and so on around Europe. So yeah, we are quite and yeah, to go to the to answer also, Emma, that's it was not very cheesy, this one, because that's a low ester, so it's full of aromas. That's what I like also, yeah. So it's very
I'll smell it from a distance when I get the sample.
yeah, that's good. No, it's not, it's very something else, yeah, because well, there is the curve, there's two curves. There is esters. People are getting confused with esters and the aromas flavors. So we are like that. So more you have esters, the less you're gonna have a lot of aromas, a lot of different aromas. So that's very something, you know. The curve is like that, you know. Esters, aromas, you know. The more you have esters, the less you have a palette of aromas. It's been actually you can see down from Vellier, Luca Gargano made on the new make. He had a new make box back a few months ago, and they analyze all of that. So they're actually telling you the palette they find and so on with the research. So that's very cool research done by them there. So now we are going through the whiskey, like world whiskey, Mackmyra, Swedish whiskey. So we are Virgin Oak. This one was called to me like I was very liking as a daily. I'm not promoting like to drink every day, but it's a kind of like a very nice daily dram. Also because of the taxation in Sweden and so on, it comes out in the retail market a bit more like pricey than the others. and single cask 53.4 ABV. 2013. It's very, let's say, some people are gonna love it, and they're gonna buy all the time the same bottle and say, oh, it's just so good because it like remembers like sweets. It's very sweet. It's very like easy to drink. Some of that I say is too oaky for them, or is too much. So yeah, just make your own. Mackmyra also is a distillery working with gravity. It's a big building, like a lot of levels. So I guess the malted barley comes to the top, and then step by step you do the fermentation, the mash tun underneath. After you do the fermentation tank, the washbacks, and after the wort plus alcohol comes to the first distillation, the first post still and the second post still, and then you get the new make. So yeah.
So was this fully matured in virgin oak, or did it spend time in other casks? Fully matured? Wow.
Fully matured.
Because I know they do a lot of weird experimental cask types. I think I've got a Sakura cask, or like cherry blossom cask one from years ago, which I should probably finish drinking.
They have working also with some cognac here that work with a lot of houses around all over the world, to bring some finishing or even full maturation. It's like Aran. Do you know Aran, the Scotch whiskey? They have put like a full-on maturation almost in Calvados, but the regulations, the Scotch Whisky Association didn't have the approval yet. It came like last year, I think. But some distilleries have already, for sure, they have in their warehouse aging, in their cellars, they have already some cask, and it was amazing. It was in the blind testing with a lot of Scottish and UK guys. It came first, so it means there's some nice things to do out there.
Yeah, cool. Is it so Scandinavian distilleries, because there's a few popping up now, are they distilleries you like to work with in particular, or because I know I'm fascinated by them. I think there's Stoning, Floki, Mackmyra. I know there's one in Helsinki as well that
Smogan also is very good. Floki, well, it's good to work, but it's just like sometimes I don't have time to just have to very like get myself. I'm on my own pretty much. I mean, there is a small team like that, people like family's team, and my brother is doing the website. Fiona Shoop, which is a good friend, she's from the UK. She's doing the test. We are doing the testing together. The sentences on the bottles, to summarize what's the liquid inside and to have some notes. She's passionate by Scotch and spirits in general, so it's good. Very friend. And also I have my designer, which is behind all the logos on the labels, and is a professional in the industry since years. He used to work for a lot of big houses. Bastien, and then me with driving and going everywhere and putting my stuff and testing. It's my own palette, it's my own and sometimes I feel like, wow, if it's gonna be okay for the market, are the people gonna like it? Because it's my palette, it's my flavors, it's what I like. It's very selfish, but it's working well. So touch wood, again, it's going okay. So, I mean, well, and I don't. I know, because I used to live in Germany for 5-6 years or so. I know the German market is very sherry oriented, all right? Very sherry. PX, they love that. Pedro Jimenez, no? I'm more like sherry Oloroso cask because it's very subtle and very, very nice. I like a bit drier. But the French market is very petite, for instance, So, but I'm not putting cask for different market. I just like try to put out what I like first. We'll see if it works, if it's working everywhere. But yeah.
I think Emma may have frozen.
Yep.
Oh, well, Gilly's off it apparently. Tried. Oh no. Oh, I try and update my internet. Nothing works. Good old Australia. But yes, so olive Mackmyra is sweeter than expected. Michael's getting toffee and red berries. Yeah, I always tend to get those like small little tart red berries off of Mackmyra spirit in general. So I'll be curious to see how this one tastes. Ian reckons it doesn't taste like 55.4%. Because it's 53.4%, Ian. It might have been a typo on our little labels, but tastes a lot lower and tastes very mellow. Paul reckons it's Jersey caramels and tails.
Emma, you've gone slow-mo again.
Sounds amazing. This is a tasting first. Oh no, is it better?
Yeah.
Is it okay? All right. Wonderful. Hopefully it holds. But a tasting of first for everyone else. Have you guys tried Scandinavian whiskey before, or is this? No, it's first. Super cool. Look at it. Oh, you've had Smogan. I haven't had Smogan yet. I'm curious to try it, but I'm excited that more bottlers are getting into the foray of Scandinavian whiskey. There's some cool stuff coming.
The sheep shit flocky is good.
Oh, well, the sheep shit one, the floki, is a bit hit or miss. We've got our own sheep shit whiskey here in Australia, so I don't think we need to import it from Scandinavia, from Finland. But yeah, cool. Well, speaking of, so you said that France is very into peated whiskey. Was that like the market's very into peated?
Yeah, or like when you don't touch so much the DNA of the distillery of the whiskey, meaning like refilled barrel, first fit barrel, also bourbon barrels, and peated whiskey. Yeah, but they're also open to sherry cask and other like maturations and finishes. But yeah, markets have their own, like preferences. I tend to say, I tend to see that too. The UK also, they are very traditional also a lot of times. They're like very bourbon, bourbon like Heaven Hill bourbons, maturations, But yeah, it's very very interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Is that so? Kind of leading into the next two whiskies that we've got. Is that something, because we know from other independent bottlers that a lot of the time the casks come in parcels. Is that something you find in France? Is that most of the parcels that get sent or offered are peated whiskies?
What do you mean about parcels?
So we were chatting to Angus from Whiskey Sponge, and he said that there was this a broker who had a lot of Islay barrels, secret Islay whiskey from the 90s. Similar to Laphroaig we're just about to try. So do brokers in France tend to have more peated whiskey on offer than non-peated whiskey, or is it what you get offered, or is it what you go hunting for?
Well, I think we have also the same sources. There is no brokers in France for the whiskey. They're all located in Scotland or in the UK, pretty much. I just go there. I've got my bottling line there because it's, if not, I get out of the appellation Scotch whiskey, single malt Scotch whiskey, when it's single malt. But there is brokers also, because if you don't have like a couple of millions of euros or even more, it's hard to knock on the door and get some bulk and cask. Back in the days when I bought some cask, it was directly at the distillery. Now it's a bit harder. Hopefully one day when I'm more solid on financial wise, I can go directly, and for the time being it's like 50-50, let's say, depending on spirits. Yeah, and this one was a parcel from like Laphroaig needed some cash, I guess. Like every distillery needs some cash, even if they're big. And yeah, this cash on hand, they just release like hundreds of casks and they get paid and that's it. But I don't want to have the labels written down the distillery name. So yeah, Hollow by the Bay. So we are going to Laphroaig 1 too, 1990. So that's I was like I'm amazed by the spirits. It's a refill barrel, so very 50.7% ABV. So there is a particularity on that. I've been also spending some times back in the days at Laphroaig distilling for a few days with them. So what you learn is that the peated smokiness, the medicinal peated flavor you have in Laphroaig comes from kind of a secret, but people, you know, tend to know now more and more. And they have when they do the kilning on the malting floor, when they stop the germinations, and so they instead of like doing like the others, mostly pretty much all of them, they send hot steam, so hot air, you know, some hot air, like very to kill the germination, to stop the germinations, to get the most out of the enzyme, to get the sugar later, but they kill the germinations. All right, doing by this process, doing that, and after they put in a chimney, the pit. Also, there is a lot of secrets regarding what the percentage of dry pit and a little bit less dry, a bit wet pit, all right, to get this smokiness, to get the color of the, you know, like a whiter smoke. So Laphroaig, instead of having the hot air to stop that, they're doing with the kilning, with the chimney. They put the pit on, they put the fire on the pit, and the smoke going through that, the hot air through the smoke of the pit, stop the germinations. So we have this first process, and after they stop that, they put hot air. They even spray to bring up the phenolic percentage. All right, so they put even some water. They spray some water, and they put even the pit again, you know. So they even had more dry now. I mean, it's very different processes, but this one brings medicinal pitness into your drink, into the new make, and that's very unique. Laphroaig, they do that a lot. So now you have like a very truly like rare cask. I mean, not too rare because there are a lot on the secondary market. Not a lot, I guess, but they're kind of different from one to the others. But yeah, I was happy to get one, to secure one, and this one is my little baby. Yeah, 50.7% ABV, 50.7. And we have 32 years old. Enjoy.
Cool. I think this is the softest one we're going to drink tonight. The lowest ABV, which is exciting.
As a huge older Islay lover, this is delicious. Great to get a nice high ABV. OB original bottling Laphroaigs. You buy the 25-year-old, you buy the 30-year-old, and they bottle it at such a low ABV, and there's no peat left over, and it's almost sad sometimes trying to drink it. But here the balance between the refill cask hasn't. Is it full maturation?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's retained a lot of the peat and the signature as well. So this is a brilliant whiskey.
Thanks. So the refill barrel is what I say. For me, it's like I like to say the DNA of the distillery is what you get more. You don't have so much interactions with what the liquid was at first in the cask, like bourbon. First with the bourbon, you get for sure more bourbon flavors. Now you get more like, you know, proper like barley, like proper smoke, proper like malted barley, like cereal. Fruitiness also because of the age. It's very it's kind of like funny because you got some fruits also in on the palate, on the notes coming, and they're kicking, they're arriving step by step. So you have a very interesting dram. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Ian's saying it started out surprisingly sweet and clean, and then the classic medicinal tasting notes kick in, and then the finish is soft and sweet again. Sounds like a journey on the palate.
Yeah.
Fruity. Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Sure.
Excellent. Well, you might. That's a very good journey, Michael says.
Yeah. So the fruity. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So the fruity notes, when they what I learned is like when you are like with all my distillation times on the distillery since years now, when you have the fermentations, as soon as you put the yeast, you have the time, the first 24 hours, it's where everything pretty much happens, you know, first 24 to 2 days. And after, the rest is very to get the fruity notes on the new make. Also, depending on what happened in the mash tun and how it's the water you put in the mash tun on the first water, pretty much the most important. Second and third is okay if it's too high, but the first water, if it's put too high in hot water, like Beaumont, the violet and Parma violet notes came from the mash tun. The hot water, the first water was too hot, it was more than 90 degrees. They did that for years, and that's why you get the special flavors. I don't want to say the FWP, but yeah, it's that's what they call that. But yeah, that's what you get, and then you all like the processes, they get different DNA of the distilleries, and that's very interesting. And that's where also my next step will be also to have some new make and bottling some new make, because it's very interesting to have what comes out of the post still, because that's where you see they make pretty much always the same new make, you know, because it's very process control and very process oriented. They twist it time to time, but it's very, you know, similar reputation, task, and so on. But it's very interesting to drink that, what they have for each series.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, it sounds absolutely amazing. Paul agrees with Ian that it's a nice balance of sweetness. Gilly's wondering, would you recommend water with it? Because obviously we talked about, and this is natural cask strength as well, yeah? You didn't bring this one down?
No, it's natural cask strength. So you can add a couple of drops water. Yeah, it opens up. It's nice. Yeah. I tried to reduce to 40 something step by step, like degrees after done ABV after ABV done. It opens up actually more on the fruity notes. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's also the difference between whiskey drinkers and rum drinkers, or the rest of the spirits. The whiskey drinkers, we tend to say, well, if you want it to have like a reduce, you can add some drops of water, and they can do that on their own. But on the rum people, they just say, well, this is your job to do that. We don't want to add anything. We want to drink it as it is in the bottle. That was also very interesting, because I'm more like coming from the whiskey, you know, at the start, and I learned also a lot of things from the rum. But yeah, quite tricky.
Yeah. It's one of those things with whiskey. It's like however you like it. With rum, it's however you get it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, amazing. Wow. I'm not a big Laphroaig fan, but these smoky apple notes are making me very, very curious and intrigued for this one. But we might move on to the final dram of the night, the Lochindaal Bruichladdich whiskey. So talk us through how you chose this one, and obviously the distinction for Lochindaal as well.
Yes. So Lochindaal is very it's very distillery that I like. On Islay for me is Bruichladdich. All right, they stopped this kind of version of Petit. It's between Port Charlotte and Octomore. they stopped in 2010, I think. I do believe, Lochindaal. So it's very a rare cask. You have the last one on the market. I mean, they're not on the market because they're most in the cellars, but they are like yeah, it's very rare. It's becoming very rare. So this one was co-bottling with Nanyang Whiskey, distribution in Singapore, and then we really liked. I like the for me the pit is very unique. What you smell, what you get in the palate, it's kind of like very glass but dirty at the same time. So it's very like the pit, the smokiness. So it's very like unique. It's very one of its kind also. And I always love Lochindaal, and I always told myself, if I can find one, it's yeah, I will go for it. So this price on the market was, so the Laphroaig on the market was about 390, 400 euros, including taxes, VAT, and this one was about 180, okay, euros, VAT included. We always do 0.5 liters or so bottling size bottles. It's a kind of the French side or so. Everything smaller is prettier, so I like pretty things. So yeah. Anyway, so this one it's a first fill bourbon, and yeah, it's very, if you like the pit, it's unique. So pitted whiskey is very unique.
Oh, I love that. I love that explanation for the 500 ml bottles. They're small and pretty. We need to start using that in Australia. A lot of our distilleries use 500 ml bottles, and we find that people tend to gravitate more towards the 700 ml, which is standard. Is it in France 500 ml bottles are very common, or?
So no, we tend to have people, because the price is raising. And I think 0.5 liters makes you like a more affordable Scotch whiskey, also whiskey, because I'm not like I'm also like, it's not like I'm putting the price at the same as it should be for 0.7, 0.7. So it's very like, I'm very mindful about that. And no, it's very well, people also, they want a lot of bottles, so they say 0.5 it's perfect size. So I find a lot of people, they were not okay at the beginning, and they're very moving forward to 0.5, consumption wise, consummation wise. Also the distilleries are getting, also they are putting more and more 0.5 liters. And also I have a Swell de Spirits fans group on Facebook, and I'm putting 0.2 liters bottlings for like some like a special edition for them, and they really like it, because you crack it, you have a couple of friends, and it's done. Yeah, and I think it's you like or you don't like, but sometimes when you don't like it, you find it like, well, like, I should give it a go,
Yeah, cool. Nice. What are the tasting notes for this one, guys? I'm relying on you all. You need to be up on there with the tasting notes so I know which ones to.
Michael has been preparing all night to get to these whiskies at the end. So yeah. Whilst Emma waits to unfreeze, I'll jump in. Fresh fruit, berries, right amount of peat. Right amount of peat. What is your right level of peat? Because Lochindail's what, 30 ppm from memory?
Around there, 30, 32, 33.
You back, Emma?
Maybe. We'll see.
A fun fact, there's actually 5 versions of Bruichladdich spirit. The 5th one, not many people know about. Does anyone know him here before I jump in?
They more go ahead.
Give it. I'm sure Gilly or Paul might know. Paul's busy typing. So obviously Bruichladdich, their main one, the unpeated, that teal bottle, quite famous. Port Charlotte is the next one in terms of ppm. We got Lochindaal, which is Oh, Lochindail's second, I think, with 30 to 36. Port Charlotte's up to 45 ppm. Obviously, Octomore being the, from 60 ppm to crazy amounts. But there's one in between Lochindail and Octomore, which is the blending of those two spirits that they've made a small amount of, and it's called RINS, RHINN. So yeah, there's not much left now. That Jim's left the business, but yeah, if you like your Bruichladdich, yeah, there you go, Gilly, you jumped on it. Same as Paul. Had a feeling you guys would know. So yeah, I think while Emma's reconnecting the internet, it's fine if you're a laddie fan like myself and some of the guys here. It's always good to taste all 5 of them side by side because they are so different. You're back, Emma.
I have returned. Good old internet. I'm going to have to fix that before the next one. Sorry, guys.
All right. Paul agrees with Michael. Berries, like a berry jam that's been on barbecue, not recommended. Sounds messy. So. I think Emma's still struggling. So I might fire up the poll for people to start voting. And then
there's a question: how did I get the cask? Yeah, it's through Scottish connections. It's quite hard to get cask now.
Do you do any other barrel trading programs with other independent bottlers?
Well, I tend to I'm very a guy which is I come from a different industry, and I can just buy the small door in France, and I just like to collaborate and to work with some of them. A lot of them, they're quite not very happy to see other independent bottlers, to be honest. I won't name any of them, but some of them, they are very open to help each other and to trade and to help, because we are at the end, we are not Macallan, we're not a distillery, or big distillery, so there's place for everybody. So even if it's getting a lot more than years ago, but yeah, but no, I think there's still a lot of things to do and to work with others. I traded a few casks with some of them in the UK or in France or outside. Yeah, so
I imagine as you start getting access to some of the in-demand French spirits, then you can start pulling your weights that way and go, hey, if you want one of my good cognacs, then you need to cough up a good cask as well.
Yeah, it works a bit like this way. I said, yeah, no, that's right. I've got right connections in France, and I know them because I distilled with them. And well, after I've got my wife is Scottish also, so I've got some very strong connections there. I distilled with them also, so they're very yeah, but and they're very open. Some distilleries in Scotland, they're very happy to see that I come and I want to distill with them, talk about better their products, So it's a quite good approach, and I like that because I'm passionate by the process. And I don't know where I'm gonna go, but I really would like to have my own distillery here in France, or in the Basque Country where it's humid and sun, and yeah. Anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, a lot of things happening. I was in Japan 1 week ago. I was at Chichibu. I was in Mars, Tsumaki, a lot of distilleries, Kanosuke, and yeah. I like to mix different process also and see what was the best, and I come out with a new kind of way of distilling. So yeah.
Sounds like a lot of great adventures and just connections in the industry. It's growing. It's great to hear.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Well, we got an old clan niche which is coming. Very old. Very waxy, very amazing, very very nice. We got also 1994 Laphroaig, Oloroso Sherry cask, unpeated Laphroaig, no Tobermory. So yeah, it's a lot of things coming up. and also more affordable ones like Ben Nevis, Cardilla, like youngest ones, like even unnamed Armagnac. Yeah.
Very cool. All very popular distilleries here. Michael said the Lochindaal doesn't drink at 61.7%. I agree. It's very mellow. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Are you back yet, Emma?
It appears to be so. It appears to be so. I think I've managed to stabilize my internet right now. So sorry about that. But yeah, just in time to see the results from the poll and to be made very jealous about some of the whiskies coming out. Mikael, you may not know, Laphroaig is my favorite whiskey of all time. So it's very exciting to hear that there's
it was I also have a Stratnil 1990 refit sherry butt. It was in Japan, was very successful. Laphroaig was one of the top one also, and Stratnil and this Laphroaig also. A lot of like French spirits also that were very, very appreciated. And and I got a question: who is in Australia as the Swell de Spirits? That's the question to ask Oliver and Emma.
So the way this tasting came about is Chris and Mikael have been chatting. We haven't signed anything. We said, let's just get some spirit here. Let's get the tasting going and get some feedback. And that's what the purpose of tonight is, basically, to see what gauge the interest is. We obviously work with a lot of whiskey distilleries. We don't do much with rum and other spirits. Some of the bottlers we work with do, some cognacs and stuff. But for us, this is all sort of fairly new territory. So we just wanted to do this tasting tonight, get a gauge and the feedback, of course. And then if people are enjoying this sort of stuff and the demand is there, then the next conversations is how do we get more of Swell into Australia? Maybe get you into some of the whiskey shows around the country as well. I see Gilly said an Australian release or something. So I think all those ideas are on the cards. We just need to have those next conversations. That tonight was very much send us some bottles and let's get it in front of an active audience like yourself. You guys know whiskey, you know some of the other spirits. Let's hear what you guys think, and if you're enjoying this kind of tastings and Swell spirits most of all, let us know. And then send Chris an email, chris@thewhiskeylist.com.au, and tell him bring it in, and we'll work closely to figure out next steps from there.
Yeah, you guys are the dipped toe in the pond of Swell spirits coming into Australia. So who we want to hear from the most. So I think, Ollie, have you shared the poll results yet? Or
no?
I mean, look, unsurprisingly, I know you guys are all whiskey lovers, so I know you're always going to go for the whiskeys. But it's good to see someone loved the rum and the Armagnac and the Cognac. Nobody went for the Calvados though, but I'm super curious. I like the weird and wonderful stuff, so I'm sure I probably would have picked it. But yeah, well,
the Cognac was phenomenal, like really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's such a new thing into Australia, is to really have that expanding appreciation for Cognac and Armagnac. And when we can get into that independent bottlers who are based in France particularly, sharing the love of that with us, it's always so much more exciting. So but I think that about does it for tonight. Sorry again that I've been in and out, and thank you, Ollie, for giving a hand and helping out. But thank you very, very much, Mikael, for joining us tonight, this afternoon in your time, and sharing your palate essentially with us for the evening. I think it's quite a small group, Ollie. Do we want to, if anyone has any last final questions, let them unmute, or?
Yeah, put your hand up. We can, or hit unmute button. I think you can unmute yourself now. But from my side, thank you so much for tonight. We've been a huge learning experience for me. Like I didn't even know much about Calvados and some of the others. So it's great to hear. Like your knowledge is next level. You know, all the different regions and processes. So it's yeah, great to hear from someone who's so passionate and involved in the industry over there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I really enjoyed tonight, and I mean, morning for me. But it was just like, as I said, Australia is a very market close to my heart. Let's say it was my second house for years, and yeah, really enjoyed my time there. And very, yeah, I'm very passionate by what I do. You've seen that, and I really would like to share that with you guys in Australia. It would be amazing. But thanks for listening me, and hope you all appreciate it. I guess it's been okay. For Chichibu, I think we are talking for Chichibu Cask. We would have a Japanese series very soon. Few distilleries have got some cask already, so it's going to be good. Yeah, a lot of like projects on the pipeline.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see all the future releases and keep an eye on it. And I'm sure all these guys are going to be keeping tabs on what you're bottling, and hopefully we'll see what we can get in Australia soon. But yeah, otherwise, thank you guys. Mikhail, if you wanted to hang around later and chat, but yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.